Welcome, one, and welcome to you all to the greatest show of them all. It is the NFC East Mixtape, the NFC East Mixtape, volume 171. I'm on my second cup of coffee. That's my bad. Today is Tuesday, October 7th, 2025. He is Brandon Gowton. I am RJ Ochoa. You can watch this show on the Blog and the Boys YouTube channel or the Bleeding Green Nation YouTube channel. No, we don't have a podcast solution fixed yet. It remains more annoying to us than to you. We promise. Isn't that true, BLG?
Well, I mean, I can't speak for the listeners, but it's definitely annoying for all of us, perhaps equally even. RJ, it's our first episode in October since we last recorded on October Eve. It already was Libra season, but as an October Libra myself, I feel like, October is the season for the real Libras out there. So shout out to the real Libras in October.
That means both you and I, we have learned over the course of our friendship and somewhat intrinsically aligned. We truly are. I'm Batman and you are Joker, I think is maybe the best way to fully describe, kind of who we are and how we relate to one another. And Mr. and Mrs. Joker are here. Doug Gowton checking in on the YouTube channel.
I don't know if you call my parents that.
Well, I mean, it worked with regards to the analogy. I would never disrespect
calling my parents jokers. Wow.
Again, they're your parents. You're the Joker. Again, the analogy feels pretty obvious at this point in time. But a hello to my favorite Pennsylvanians, and that would be the Gowtons. Don't really like any others, if I'm being totally honest.
They don't live in Pennsylvania.
They have an affinity for the area.
My dad is from Pennsylvania.
See? Also, tough time these days for Pennsylvanians. They have had a rough few days not
all Pennsylvanians, I would wager, but yeah, the eastern side
a lot
of the state,
of them
for sure.
A lot of them have had a rough few days.
I think Steelers fans are probably okay.
Yeah, I actually was late here starting because I just spoke to a Steelers fan. Jim Furyk, professional golfer extraordinaire, is a Steelers fan, and that interview will be up on my YouTube channel, not the Blog and the Boys.
Isn't he a Philly guy, or am I making that up?
He's a Pennsylvania guy. He's now most professional golfers and certainly retired ones are Florida guys, but he's a Pittsburgh fan. He's an Arizona Wildcat, so I mean, doesn't make great decisions, but yeah.
From Westchester, yeah. So he's from like near Philly. He's a Steelers fan. What a fraud.
Yeah, well, once upon a time they used to be the same team. They used to call them Eagles. Ted E says RJ isn't Batman. If he is, he's the new Superman who doesn't fit the role. The movie was okay. I mean, I liked it.
And Superman was a Philly guy.
The actor?
The actor, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a New York guy. It's Metropolis. Hello.
That New York Metropolis isn't New York. You didn't know that?
What is it?
I think it's kind of like, it's obviously fictional, to be clear, but I think it's supposed to be canonically kind of between New Jersey and PA, if I'm not mistaken.
What would it canonically be?
Because I've seen that before.
There isn't a city. The city at most is representative.
Maybe I'm thinking of Gotham.
New York.
Maybe I'm thinking of Gotham.
Gotham is also New York.
One of those is not. It's like
they can't be the same because they exist in the same universe. So I agree with you in that sense. But
I'm right about one of those two. I've seen that before. Someplace. Okay, from Google here.
Thank you.
Being depicted in New Jersey, placing it in South Jersey, sometimes near or from Atlantic City or on the Delaware Bay. So not too far from Philly. I was right.
You're saying what is canonically South Jersey?
Gotham.
Okay.
Google this. You can see a map of this. I can drop.
Then I'm definitely not Batman. I'm definitely Superman then.
Okay.
Christopher,
maybe you're more like the Green Lantern or something.
Says the NFC Mixtape, where everybody knows your name. You don't even know our name, Christopher. It's the NFC East Mixtape. This is a very commonly made error, and he's referencing what a lot of people are in the chat. It's my shirt, which is also from everything's from the East Coast, basically. Is Boston technically the East Coast? I think it is.
Yeah, it is, but that's more like New England specifically.
Okay, it's all in the same cluster, basically.
Fortunately, no.
All right. The Eagles lost.
They did.
The Commanders did not. The Cowboys did not. The Giants pathetically did. So we have a lot to get to. Are you ready to talk about the Eagles of Gotham, I suppose?
Let's do it. The Philadelphia Eagles lost the game for the first time in a very long time. We're going for a franchise record if you'd consider it that consecutive 11
But they didn't
wins
get it, so it doesn't
that
matter.
they've beaten the Broncos.
But they didn't.
So did not do it. And should have done it because they were up 17-3 and they had a chance to really put that game away and they didn't. And to be clear, I'm not saying like they didn't deserve to lose that. Like they got unlucky. No, like they deserved to lose, but they shouldn't have put themselves in the spot to be losing that game after you go up 17-3. You have control of it. And I think the stark difference from this Eagles team, unlike other Eagles teams in the past, not even just last year, just years prior, is that when Eagles go up, usually late in the game, they're able to put the game away. They go on a long drive, they're able to run the football and run out the clock. They did that against the Steelers last year. It was like crazy. They had like a 20-play drive or something, 10 minutes left on the clock. Got into field goal range or in red zone and just kneeled the ball out. Obviously, that's an extreme version of what that looks like, but just consistently all year long, they have not been able to do that because they've not been able to run the football. And one thing that I regret not putting enough stock in, I think this offseason, was the fact that because I very much was not a believer in that Saquon Barkley himself would have regressed as much as other running backs with that major workload because he takes really, 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 really good care of himself. And I think he's looked fine. I don't think the issue has been him. I think the players who kind of are feeling the brunt of that massive running workload last year is the offensive line. And they've talked about this. And Jordan Mailata, Eagles left tackle, had just said last week that this offseason was the roughest one for him. Like he felt terrible for a long time, or as in past off seasons, he was able to have like a couple weeks or a month and get back to feeling like himself. This offseason, he was like, no, it took a long time for me to get right again. And now you have Landon Dickerson banged up, and now Cam Jurgens isn't 100%. He was asked after the game, and Cam Jurgens had off-season back surgery from an injury he had late in the season last year. He was like, he didn't get into specifics of it, but he was like, yeah, trying to get closer to 100%. Whether it's 100% or 60%, I'm going out there. And it's like, well, okay, well, maybe he's closer to 60% then. Lane Johnson has been in and out of the lineup. The healthiest guy they have is Tyler Steen, who, guess what, wasn't playing a lot last year. So I absolutely think there's something real to that. The offensive line just isn't what it was last year. And that kind of is contributing to the biggest problem I would say the team has, in that they just don't have an offensive identity. And that has been plaguing them all year long. So last thing I'll say about this, because I know I'm going long here, is that while they did not deserve to lose in terms of like they shouldn't, they did deserve to lose. They should not have lost in terms of they had a lead in this game. They've ultimately been playing with fire, as we know. So in that sense, in the macro sense, they did deserve to lose the game, because if you're going to continue to play with fire and not put the opponent away when you can, then you're going to have games like this where you don't make the final play like they did in the Rams game or whatever and come out on top.
So a few things here. One, I think that the wear and tear of the offensive line was always going to, at some point show up. In terms of things that we didn't put enough stock into, I'm going way back before this past offseason than you are. I'm talking like circa 2018-ish. Like I always thought Lane Johnson was a fine player. He might be the most important player through the whole run that the Eagles have had. Like however you want to define the run, like 2017 through 2024, whatever.
The best offensive lineman on like 2 Super Bowl winning offensive lines. That had a big reason why they won those Super Bowls.
That's what I'm saying. Like my point is that the identity of the two teams, certainly in retrospect, is the offensive line. But he might be the face of it. That's my point. Like if I had to, rank the people who were associated with the 2 Super Bowl winning teams and the team who lost it, again, with the benefit of hindsight and retrospect, I might put Lane Johnson number 1. That sounds weird because there were important people who played a part, and obviously Nick Foles and Jalen Hurts had an amazing game, even the one that they lost, and AJ Brown and Saquon and whatnot. But like my point is, like, I think we're just reaching the end of the like nucleus of it all being at full strength, which is just inevitable, right? Like that's just life. Beyond all of that, similarly, you could make an argument in a reverse way that they should have lost, say, the Rams game. Like you said, like they were able to pull this one off, but so this is representative of them playing with their food too much or not being into the game enough or whatever. And that's ultimately my takeaway is this team is weird and like
welcome.
weird,
yes.
and weird. Correct. And melodramatic. and sad boys and whatever, and it's a matter of like what's wrong with like, and look, if you have something going on, like I fully respect that, and I have no beef with any of the Eagles players. I think we're all way past that, but it's just a matter of like talking just about the football team and football operations. Why can't you be happy? Like what is wrong with this? Like why can't you all just enjoy winning? And I thought about this the other day when I was walking my dogs, and I wanted to get your take on it. I said a lot during the 22 season that had they won that Super Bowl, it would have been like the perfect year, because everybody got all their records and everybody had all their, individual accolades and decorations and whatnot. And it seems like they're chasing that. It seems like nobody is satisfied unless they all get their, piece of whatever it is, the way they were in 2022, when they were also winning collectively as a team each and every single week.
I think people get the AJ Brown thing wrong a lot, and I've defended him, and at the same time I'll rip him because he didn't run out a route in this game where basically had he done that, I can't say 100% Jalen Hurts still hits him there. Maybe it's still an overthrow, but at the very least you would have liked to see him overthrow him running at full force and giving him a chance, especially a week after he complains about his role in the offense, which he had every right to complain, because I don't think it's about a stats-driven thing in terms of, I just want numbers. It's like he literally knows that when he's more involved, they're going to be winning. You saw it in the Rams game, turn the whole game around once they got him involved. Anyway, I don't think that's it as much as you are hitting on the right point of it is weird. And by the way, if you ever wondered if there's like ever an acceptable time for losing and there's like a grace period, there isn't, because for a team that won the Super Bowl and had gone 20-1 in their last 21 games, the sky is falling for some people, and
I do think that's compounded culturally by the Phillies losing and Penn State. Like for a certain sector of people, the loss feels bigger than it actually.
But absolutely, but to be clear, though, I'm not saying like fans are wrong for that. I'm not criticizing them. I'm just saying that's the reality of it. Like it's like no amount of winning ever actually like makes up for how bad the losing ever feels, even if it's just one game. And I don't think people are like saying the season is over, but there is a lot of, dramatic fallout and reaction. And to my point with that is that's just inherent to like almost literally any loss, regardless of the context around it, how much they might be winning. And to be clear, they've been outgained in every game this year. They have not played well. They have a bad point differential for a team that is 4-1. So there obviously are larger warning signs here. Same time, as I've said, they've played a really tough schedule. They've not played an easy game this year. They haven't. Like the Broncos, I don't think are amazing, but they're not horrible. They're not a terrible team. I think Sean Payton's one of the better head coaches in the NFL. I'm not the biggest Bo Nix fan, but there's worse quarterbacks out there. So it's been a tough schedule. I think I had them 3-2 to start the season here. When we did our schedule predictions, they're 4-1, so they've even overachieved. And now it's going to be really interesting to see how they respond from this loss. Does this snowball? Do they spiral from this? Do they totally lose control? That could be pretty bad if things go that way. But if they can put this loss behind them, which you look at the schedule, the Giants on Thursday here, you play maybe Carson Wentz in Minnesota. We'll see how that goes. And then you get the Giants again in Philly. And then you have the bye. So there's a real chance to win the next 3 in a row. Not a guarantee, but you get to 7-1 at the bye. And then, you're feeling okay.
Again, just on the subject of how weird all this is, last week before the loss, every other insider basically reporting the Eagles aren't trading AJ Brown or AJ Brown trade stuff. Devontae Smith. It's like this is was at the time one of 2 undefeated teams in the NFL. So like just to look at it through that lens, did the Bills have any issues like that? You know what I mean? No. I mean, and I mean it's just very weird. It seems like weird. It seems like a group that's almost anxious for the bad thing to happen. You know what I mean? Like for the bottom to fall out so they can just breathe a little. And on some level, I mean, like from a human standpoint, I kind of understand, they've been on such a pace of focus for so many years in a row that, letting go has to maybe, the thought of it has to be somewhat liberating.
Did you see the thing about Saquon and AJ and Jalen had a meeting?
I didn't mean to laugh at that. I just naturally coughed, but I have a very conspiracy theory, but I want to get your take on this first.
Well, that was interesting too, because that comes from my colleague Jimmy Kempski, who isn't like, he's not like one of the water carriers for either the team or the NFL. Like, that was a legit scoop that he had, which I don't know where it came from. I don't know his sourcing on that. But my point is, that's not just like, hey, we wanted to get this out there. Like, that's not coming from a team.
Yeah, you don't have to
source.
Point fingers at who it would be, but we all know.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's I think it's a valid report, and it was interesting to me, and it's encouraging to look at that, because I think they do need to get on the same page. I think that's one of the bigger issues with this team, is they're not totally on the same page. It doesn't mean it'll definitely fix it, but I do think they need to talk and have some tough conversations.
My conspiracy theory, and I want to fully acknowledge that this is a fun NFC East mixtape thing, not a thing I actually believe. So you're talking the report that came out on Monday.
Yeah.
That came out, and it also came out that Saquon was add the detail for me, like limited or wasn't part of the simulated.
He's listed as did not practice, but he's expected to play, dealing with like knee soreness or something.
So the conspiracy theory would be that the game in question is Thursday Night Football, which is an Amazon Prime product. And if I understand it correctly, Saquon's documentary premieres this week on Prime.
Yeah.
So like the conspiracy theory would be that Amazon Prime is saying, let's just stir up everything we can to get all this Saquon SEO traffic going so that our documentary can really ride. Again, I wouldn't accuse Jimmy of that, but you get my point. And again,
I
silly
doubt
fun conspiracy
connections to Amazon, but I don't know that for sure. So
Jeff Bezos sabotaging the Eagles, apparently.
There you go. Well, he's a Commanders guy, right?
On the subject, let's move on over. We were both wrong. We both picked. Well, I think we're both wrong on this game too. We both picked the Eagles to win. I finally stopped picking against them, and they burned me. But the Washington Commanders win out to LA, and man, the scene is getting tough for the Chargers. But that's an AFC West mixtape.
What a shocker!
Which is an actual thing. The AFC, or it was an actual thing. 27-10, the final score. Jane Daniels, an efficient day, 15-26, 231 yards. Had 8 carries for 39 yards, so not a ton of action on the ground. But they smushed the Chargers. Like this was not a last-second win or anything. You can make an argument that the Chargers got in their own way. There was the Ladd McConkey punt return that didn't wind up counting. Very Chargers-y, obviously, but I don't know what we could say about this except for that was very impressive, and maybe they are going to stave off some of the regression to the mean.
Yeah, I don't know how good the Chargers are when you're losing to the Giants and now to the Commanders like this, but give the Commanders credit for what was ultimately a big 14-point swing in the game, where they get that interception there. And then speaking of the Eagles being able to go on those drives in the past but can't anymore, Commanders did. Hit a 13-play, 99-yard drive, taking 6:32 off the clock to go up 3 possessions with what left in that game at that point. Just a minute to go, basically just iced out the game right there. So, that's a very legit win and a nice bounce back for them after I thought it was kind of a bad loss, even though they didn't have their quarterback to the Falcons. So it is a much-needed bounce back for that team.
I was never as bearish. I know that's an NFC East mixtape throwback.
Correct.
Thank you. I was never as bearish on the Commanders as you were. I was never quite bullish, but you thought that they sucked. Like you thought they were the worst team.
I think I picked them to win 8 games.
So they have a chance here, and this the next 5 games I think will really define their season. So they've got the Bears on Monday Night Football. By the way, and I say this everywhere I'm at, the doubleheader is so dumb. Nobody likes it. There's not a single person, and it actually
They're still doing this. This is still going on.
There's 2 more. There's one next week and the following week. So next week we've got one of the 2 games are Washington and Chicago, and the other one is Buffalo. I forget, but just my quick soapbox. If you want to put them back to back, fine. Start one game at 6 Eastern, one game at 9 Eastern. That's fine. I still don't like that, but that's better. But competing games is dumb. That takes away the whole point is for all of us to see the crazy Trevor Lawrence touchdown on Monday Night Football and laugh about it together on the internet. That's the point. That's what we like about it. And you're ruining it by doing this.
What makes football great, by the way. I was reflecting on that this morning. It's just so, again, we talk about matchups and all this stuff. It doesn't matter. Sometimes a guy just does something that you could not even possibly expect. Although I will say, I think I didn't see enough that Jaguars left tackle on that play absolutely pancakes whoever that Chiefs defensive lineman was. This is a big reason why like Lawrence could actually get up and run over there.
Yeah.
That was like fluky, but also like kind of really good play by their offensive line.
Chris Jones has taken some heat for not doing. I think he thought the play was over. Like, it's pretty easy to assume that he thought Trevor was down. By the way, I just got an alert this second that the Giants denied a Saquon trade, and that this is a clip from the documentary that came out. Which the Bleacher Report notification is documentary reveals John Mara turned down Barkley's request before the 2023 season.
Well, so, I mean, that was always apparent that they should have traded him.
I know, but my point is the documentary is driving a lot of this, this week's drama. I don't know about last week's, but anyway, look, speaking as someone who covers a team who has a lot of documentaries, I kind of know how this thing goes. But anyway, so the Commanders have the Bears on Monday Night Football, then visit the Cowboys on the day between our birthdays, and then are at Arrowhead. That is also a Monday night game. So they get Monday Night Football twice in 3 weeks, and then immediately after that are on Sunday Night Football against the Seahawks, the Battle of Washington.
Yeah.
So 3 times in a 4-week stretch, we're about to get them in prime time. And then after that, they'll probably draw the top Fox crew as they host the Lions. So these next 5 weeks are not only big games in terms of opponents, but they're also going to really shape the national narrative of who the Commanders are. And they're beginning it at the very least, hot.
Yeah, I think they're going to beat the Bears. We'll get to that later. But that 4-week stretch there with the Cowboys, the Chiefs, both on the road, and then you get to host the Seahawks, their original Washington football team, and the Lions. Like, yeah, that's a real. We're going to learn a lot about them. I mean, if they go 2-2 in that stretch, like that's solid. But yeah, I could see them having some slip ups in that stretch.
Are you ready to move on?
I will say the interesting thing about this Commanders win is that they have this running back named Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, and he actually goes by Bill, and he had a really good game. He had 14 carries for 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. So isn't that interesting? His name is Bill, but it's not.
I say this all the time. I told it to you recently. This only happens in football because it doesn't have a regional sports network the way that your standard baseball or basketball or hockey team do. So like every new crew feels the need to tell the new story. Like to that point, a few weeks ago when the Cowboys beat the Giants, I like Joe Davis a lot. I think he's awesome, but he was saying, Brandon Aubrey, he didn't even play football in college at Notre Dame. He played soccer, and then he was in the MLS. We know, dude. We like that can happen to the Cowboys is amazing. But yeah, like every new crew is like, and you think it's bad now? They're about to play in prime time 3 times in 4 weeks.
Get ready.
So, and I will bet you that there will be a Monday Night Football weird graphic that is some sort of Bill thing. You know what I mean? When Joe Buck is like setting it, like, they're weird animatronic Muppet like looking things. They're going to have something like that that has to do with Bill.
It's almost unfair from a standpoint of like, just why don't you talk more about how like he's playing well? Then like his weird nickname.
Yeah, he doesn't have to just be a meme. He's a good football player. Like, that. So anyway, speaking of good football players, Dak Prescott playing like an MVP. Dallas Cowboys destroyed the New York Jets.
Who could beat the only winless team in the NFL?
Well, I mean, other teams. 37-22 is the final score. There were 16 points that the Jets mined out in garbage time here.
Yeah.
And I feel for the Jets. I really do. I feel for Aaron Glenn. It just, I mean, it might be impossible. Like it might just be a place that nobody can ever succeed.
Who's the quarterback for the Jets again?
Anyway, 37-22, Dak, 18 of 29, 237, 4 touchdowns. Dak has 13 games now with 4 passing touchdowns, the most in Cowboys franchise history by a healthy margin. It's hard to come away with like the biggest story offensively for Dallas because Javonte Williams had 16 carries, for $135 and a touchdown. He also had a receiving touchdown. George Pickens' 43-yard touchdown was awesome, but kind of inconsequential. The game was pretty, well over at the end of the first half. It was the most complete game, obviously, the Cowboys have played so far this season.
Yep. I think the Cowboys did a good job, especially because they were shorthanded. I mean, they still should have won. They were favored on the road, although not favored by a ton, 1.5, I think, right?
It opened at 2.5, but to your point, they were down 4 offensive linemen. And with all due respect to Terrence Steele, if you had asked the average Cowboys fan or said, hey, you can only have one of your ideal starters out there, he would be nobody's pick. But, played well. They all played well. CeeDee Lamb's still out, obviously. Kevontae Turpin. So you're down 80% of your offensive line, your star wide receiver, your slot receiver, your backup running back, Miles Sanders. Shout out to Penn State again. And they not only won, but they kicked their ass. And that has a lot. Jason Garrett's been taking some strays, and I feel for him. But there was once upon a time where the Cowboys would be missing Tyron Smith or Sean Lee and just like fall apart. Or whatever, or Tony Romo. But that obviously the quarterback is the quarterback. But you get my point. Like they would be missing somebody super important and just not be able to overcome it, and missing almost your entire offensive line. CeeDee Lamb, Kevontae Turpin, who's developed into a significant player for them, to win in general, but to win so seismically is really impressive from a coaching standpoint.
Yeah, it's not always just a given that you do that. I mean, the Ravens situation is different because you're missing the quarterback, but the Ravens are pretty banged up, and they look like a team that did not have any resilience in spite of that. Two depressing stats here for you if you're a Jets fan, which I don't know why you'd be for listening to the podcast, but we appreciate you all the same. The Jets offense had 19 plays of 10 plus yards against the Cowboys. That was the most of any team, by the way, in week 5, and no other team this season that produced that many plays of 10 plus yards in a game lost. So amazing. That's per Shield Kapadia. Also from Shield Kapadia, we have that the 2025 New York Jets are the only team in the last 10 years to not have a single takeaway in the first 5 weeks of the season. So it's a bad football team, and the Cowboys did what they should do against a bad football team and pummel them and not let them hang around or make it close. Okay, apparently I'm the only one on the stream now because RJ is gone. He is texting me that he's working on getting it back. Look how big my face is now here. I'm just in the center of the screen. This should be the show, right? It should just be me. Like, why do you even need RJ when you have this right here? He's missing me giving the Cowboys credit. I'm not going to do it again just when he comes back. So that's all we have for that, I guess. Should we move on to the Giants? Am I really going to do that without RJ here? I don't think that makes sense. Let's go through the Cowboys schedule. Why don't we do that, since that'll buy us some time? And after they beat the Jets to advance to 2-2-1, perfectly 500, as the Cowboys love to be, mediocre, they will then take on the Panthers in North Carolina this week. Panthers have been a little bit feisty at times. Also have been pretty lifeless at other times. So we'll see how that goes. The Commanders game, as we talked about, on the 19th. It's in AT&T Stadium in Texas. Big test for, I would say, really both of those teams to see who is the bigger threat to the Eagles in the NFC East. We then go to the Broncos, who just beat the Eagles. That game will be in Denver for the Cowboys. RJ famously hating on the Broncos in the past. It's a different regime now, so I don't know how much that carries over. And then they get the Cardinals, who I think stink a lot, coached by Jonathan Gannon. The Raiders, then, who I also think stink a lot. So it lightens up there before they play the Eagles again on November 23rd. So interesting stretch coming up here for the Cowboys. Still no RJ, as he said he is working on getting back. I feel weird about moving on to the Giants if there's no RJ to talk about it. But the Giants and the Eagles play each other this week, so screw it. We're going to do it for now, at least. Eagles open as 7.5-point road favorites against this Giants team that, as the Eagles' perspective, was looking for that team to lose, because you don't want to see the Giants win 2 in a row, build some positive momentum with Jaxson Dart starting for them, and going into an Eagles game where it's like, okay, Giants have some momentum. Now it's like, can they actually beat this team that's just owned them, quite frankly, for the past whatever years now? Aside from some rare slip-ups from the Eagles against the Giants, the Joe Judge era, oddly enough. Giants are really banged up. They are obviously without Malik Neighbors for the season. Oh, RJ is back now. I did a really good job of vamping in there, I would say.
I don't know what happened, but
I was talking about I was giving the Cowboys credit for taking care of business against a bad team, which is what good teams do. And then I started talking about their upcoming schedule here for a little bit. and then started talking about the Giants-Eagles game.
Well, so quickly, I guess, to tie up the Cowboys, with regards to the upcoming schedule, I think we both think they'll be. I mean, I don't want to do predictions yet, but they'll win on Sunday, and then that Commanders game is big, and then this game,
yes,
yeah, at Denver. I had picked the Cardinals to win the NFC West. I felt very dumb about that, so that game looks easy. The Raiders obviously looks easy.
Who coaches the Cardinals?
Dude, I don't want to. I know people don't, but I just feel bad for the firestorm he created for himself with this past week. Yeah,
he's a fraud.
He sold against the Cardinals back in 2023, right? No, 2020.
No,
it was 20. He was the Cardinals coach when they won. Yeah. I mean,
he saved up all of his ammo for that game. Great.
Wow. Shane Steichen though on the come up.
I mean, it's
this
incredible.
is about the Cowboys, please.
If you want to transition to the Giants, I mean,
well, I just want to say quickly that as amazing as Dak Prescott is playing, I mean, if I had to pick something, their disposition is different. And I think maybe the biggest Mike McCarthy fan there was. For whatever reason, Cowboys fans refused to give the man any semblance of credit for anything. But I think that I remember when I know LeBron has taken some heat for the decision thing again, but I loved LeBron's analogy when he went back to Cleveland about how he considered going to Miami like going to college. I thought that was a really strong analogy. And I think that Mike McCarthy was the right coach for Dak Prescott at the moment in time that he had him. He helped him, certainly kind of really dial himself in as a quarterback. And I think that Brian Schottenheimer is the right guy for him now. Now Dak understands his skills and his powers and whatever. And Schottenheimer is the dude who's not afraid to wield them. You know what I mean? Schottenheimer's I used to love this analogy. It was a baby in a construction zone. You ever watch like a Tom and Jerry cartoon, and Tom is supposed to be taking care of a baby, and the baby gets up on a crazy construction.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about this.
Okay, yeah. And it's the baby has no idea that it's in danger, and so it's having a great time. And that's kind of what Brian Schottenheimer is. Not because he's a baby, but he just truly has no care for the consequence of what he's dealing with. He's got that level of inner peace or inner confidence, whatever. And so he's like, hell yeah, we're going to be aggressive. Hell yeah. We're down 4 offensive linemen. Who cares? We're still going to try to smush these guys. And that's the right coach for Dak at this point, now that he has the skill set that he does. And so that's what makes everything encouraging around it.
The New York Giants are terrible, RJ. Still
tough scene that my guy Cam Scatterboo fumbled. That was not cool. But dude, yeah, this was a bad one to lose. This was a really, really, really tough scene.
They go 14-3. They have a lead. It's oh, okay. Maybe the Giants are cooking a little bit here. Jaxson Dart got the ball rolling. I mean, had they won this game, it would have been a pretty exciting spot. I feel like for Giants fans, where okay, we won 2 in a row. Now we're going on to host the Eagles in Thursday Night Football. Let's go beat this team that we've really struggled against, or at least look like we belong against them. That would have been a really, it would have been an opportunity to build some real momentum to get things turned around after, quite frankly, a terrible and damaging start to the season where you lose 2 division games in the first 2 weeks. Instead, they lose, they blow the lead, get blown out by a Saints team that has been pretty bad this year, previously winless. And now Giants are even more banged up because in addition to losing Malik Neighbors, they are also potentially going to be out with Darius Slayton this week. So they basically have nothing at wide receiver other than Wan'Dale Robinson. And, I think Wan'Dale Robinson's actually a nice player, but if he's your best receiver, that's really not in a good spot to be in. And Jaxson Dart is also on the injury report this week. Seems like he's a little bit banged up with the hamstring. So that'll be kind of interesting to monitor, especially if, that really limits his mobility, which I think is, part of the Jaxson Dart package there, his ability to run around. So, tough scene, and really it should to me be a question of, although this has already happened clearly, but how much longer does Brian Daboll get? They're just giving him the whole season. It's not that I'm saying firing him accomplishes a ton, but at some point you can't just keep trotting him out there if the team is going to look this horrible.
Yeah, the honeymoon really faded. There was all the rightful and understandable celebrating after the Chargers win. This was kind of like I talked about when the Cowboys lost to the Bears. This was like the worst possible sequence of events for the Giants and for their fans, because you lost to a really bad team, and then the team that you beat, that you like, the mount that you got, well, they might suck. You know what I mean? So like nothing about this weekend helped you. I agree with you. Their pass catching options are really, really, really limited right now. So why is Jaxson Dart throwing the ball 40 times? Look, what purpose is that serving? I recognize the score, but especially when you had a lead, like what are you doing? And you have this physical, and this isn't like Cam Scadaboo propaganda, but like, do that. Like why are you having this guy, 2 weeks ago, you were afraid to get him out there, and now you want to have him throw the ball 40 times. It just, and
that is funny.
Yeah, I mean, and so I don't know what you do with Brian Daboll. Like, it's very obvious that this job will be open next year, but I think you're just stuck here. You're committed to it at this point in time. I mean, like, you already flipped the switch to move from Russell Wilson to Jaxson Dart, so now. You can't do that to Dart. I mean, you don't want him to be Caleb Williams and be stuck in that kind of crazy sequence, his first 2 years in the NFL.
So let's look at the Giants' schedule here. They get the Eagles at home at MetLife on Thursday night. Then the mini bye, they play in Denver against the Broncos. I think that's a tough game for them. They play the Eagles again in Philly. That's a 1:00 game. Then they get the 49ers, the Bears, and the Packers. That's as far as the schedule went before I had to expand it. And then the Lions, that's through November at that point. Like, how many games are they winning of those? Maybe one, maybe the Bears game.
I've seen a lot of people say this. By the way, on the Broncos note, we talk a lot about how you shouldn't have division games at the front of your schedule or like back to back, whatever. This is also dumb. Why are they playing 3 intra-conference games in a 4-game stretch? Like, because like if you're the Broncos, like and someone like important were hurt, this is the best window to miss. Like, there shouldn't be a window that is more costly, and there shouldn't be a window that is beneficial, because these games are the opposing conference. You get like from a tiebreaker standpoint, that's dumb. Like, they should be evenly spread out. But back to the Giants, I brought that up because they play the Broncos soon, and the Broncos play the Cowboys soon, and just play the Eagles, obviously. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of TikToks that are like, could the Giants win another game? What is it? I mean, we thought they'd beat the Saints. We didn't think they'd beat the Chargers, obviously. So, I mean, maybe the Patriots.
Bears.
Maybe the Raiders
on the road though. Patriots is in New England. Raiders is a good one. They absolutely have a chance in that game.
But I mean,
Geno Smith stinks. I can't believe all these people who
former Giant.
True.
But on the subject of I liked the way you said that, like, they should, or how did you say it right now? You said they should beat the Raiders, or they whatever. There isn't even another game that's like a toss up. You know what I mean? Like all of them are, David versus Goliath, which is ironic because they are the Giants. But I mean, Eagles, they'll get I don't even know what the line is. We'll get there. But at Denver, they'll lose. At Philly, certainly. And even if they pulled off a heroic win this Thursday, then they would definitely get crushed at Philadelphia. Versus San Francisco, shout out to Stats. Yeah, Chicago, Micah Parsons is going to welcome Jaxson Dart to the NFL, like, over and over. At Detroit, there'll be a lamb sent to slaughter. Versus Washington, maybe Minnesota. I mean, I really think highly of Minnesota, but they're in a weird funk right now. So I don't know exactly. Like, it's hard to get a read on the Vikings is kind of my point. So yeah, I mean, they stink, man. I mean, also, I don't know who had a worse sports. Oh, now Brandon's off. So I'm here. This is crazy. I don't think we've ever had an episode where we had to fight multiple internet outages from each of us. Let's see if he sends any text messages. I haven't gotten one yet. So my point on the Giants is that they stink. And now my dog is barking. It's just a chaotic day here on the mixtape. That's really the way we're going here. If someone is... Oh, there's Brandon. You're back. I vamped. Yeah, I mean... I don't know who had the worst sports weekend. Philly fans, like Philadelphia fans, someone who roots for all the teams, or New York fans. At least the Phillies didn't get like embarrassed the way the Yankees.
The Yankees have been frauds for a long time. Season, I was not buying them at all. The Phillies went out there and crushed them.
Or somebody said the other day, like, talking about some player, like, I wish they just had a chance in the postseason or something like that. Like, Aaron Judge has had the chances. It's amazing what happens to that dude in the playoffs. Like, it's not that like he hasn't had the chances. He's literally had the chances.
I mean, some people are not playoff risers, and you know all about that when it comes to the Cowboys quarterback.
Anyway, Are we ready to do picks for week 6?
Yeah, let's make our picks here.
So the Eagles are 7.5-point favorites on the road, where they once lost to a Joe Judge-led Giants team. Thursday Night Football, the Saquon documentary coming out this week on Amazon Prime.
This has to be a convincing win. Like, enough of the BS. Like, just wins a win, skate by. This Giants team is banged up. Eagles have, some injuries, but not to the level that the Giants do. And even if they do, who cares? You're the superior team. You own this team. They always beat the Giants. There's every reason that the Eagles should go into MetLife Stadium. And Jaxson Dart, I think, has some potential, but like him going up against Vic Fangio in his 3rd ever NFL game, that should be a big advantage for the Eagles and their defense. They should be able to stifle him, especially again, if he's hampered by a hamstring injury and can't even like do a whole lot to run around and protect himself. Like the Eagles pass rush, which has not been great, should be able to come alive in this one. The Eagles should do what the Cowboys did to the Jets and just go out there and stomp this team and make it not really close, maybe even be able to pull some starters late in the game ahead of having a mini bye heading into week 7. And that's what this should be for this team. This should be the get right game. If it's not, that's going to be concerning.
I was going to say this, like the Eagles should go do what happened the last time a game was in this building, because it was at MetLife Stadium when the Cowboys beat the Jets. So like go do what the last NFC East team who visited here, even like against a New York team. Shout out to it was Peter King, right, who was the first one to put that on our radar about the New York teams being like the worst aggregate team since like 2017 or whatever. Like go do the Peter King thing is my point. And then like you get the mini bye and everything calms down. Like when you get that mini bye win and you have a week and a half, like all other matters fade. Everyone can go to Saquon's house, watch the documentary. You know what I mean? Like it can be an awesome time. But if you lose, if they were to lose, like that's obvious. This is obvious, but like if they were to lose, I think that would be like the most chaotic 10 days in a long time.
Or barely win, or like win,
like
field goal in overtime, like same thing.
I honestly think this is going to sound dumb, but I think a squeak out win would upset people worse, because a loss would kind of like give freedom to like go wild, you know what I mean? Because it would be a loss, but a squeak out win would create divisive conflict, because it would be like you barely won and blah blah. So I'm obviously rooting for the most chaotic thing possible,
of course,
but
I'll take the Eagles to win and cover.
I am too. I also think this is a get down to brass tacks thing. Feed Saquon 1 million times, get AJ Brown his touchdown, like quit screwing around, quit being dramatic. We don't need any more 3-hour locker room meetings for Jimmy Kemsky to report on, because next time we do, he's going to draw stick figures about it. Nobody needs to see that at this point in time. So cool.
It was week 6 last year, in October last year, where the turnaround kind of started for the team. After a rocky start to the 2024 season, they started to settle in. So, if they're going to follow that script, this would be the time to do it.
I did want to touch on this. I forgot to when we talked about the Denver game. Brett Eclipse brought it up in the chat. Said apparently Sean Payton did that weird thing where he drives his team's bus around Philly again. I thought that was a joke when I saw this week's report. I think it was Peter Schrager who reported it, because I saw like a graphic with the quote. I thought it was fake. I thought surely this can't be real. That is. I'm super happy the Broncos won, but like that is such a loser move. Like,
apparently they had like a smoke machine going on in their locker room too after the win. It's. I mean, I'm not surprised, because Sean Payton, for whatever reason, really just doesn't like the Eagles / Philadelphia. He spent some time growing up in the Philadelphia area when he was a kid, and also used to work for the Eagles at one point. Maybe he still holds like getting fired or whatever. Like
he's also a Bill Parcells disciple.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
With the Giants and the Cowboys, so
he's a weird, hatred for the Eagles. So
I just
good for him, I guess.
I thought it was weird when John Gruden did that with the Raiders, the Derek Carr Raiders, when they won at Arrowhead. At the very least, you're talking about a division rival, right? Like at the very least, but like what is this? If I was a Bronco, I'd be like, what are we doing?
I honestly don't care. Like great, good. I don't care.
And look, I want to trash the Eagles more than anybody. Like I will reach on silly conspiracy theories like the Saquon documentary thing, but this was really, really, really lame. But so those are my 2 cents. Okay, moving on. Again, we do these in chronological order. Brandon didn't tell anybody that. The Cowboys this has grown. They are 3.5-point favorites on the road against the Carolina Panthers, facing Rico Dowdle, who had a big game last week, and their former running back.
Yeah, Panthers have been weird because they've been just like lifeless at times and totally terrible. Got stomped by the Patriots a couple weeks ago, and yet they also stomped the Falcons 30-0 a week before the Falcons then beat the Commanders. So weird team, but not a team that has by any means deserved the benefit of the doubt. And I think the Cowboys will win this game. Maybe the Panthers make it a little bit interesting. Maybe it's feisty. Maybe the Cowboys defense continues to struggle. But I can't give Carolina any benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and I think that and Eagles fans will laugh and roll their eyes, and I mean, there's some reason to do so. But a Cowboys win here would get the hype machine rolling a little bit. It'd be their first win streak in a minute, obviously the first of the season, and it would set up a massive showdown next week against Washington. Certainly, who I'm picking the Cowboys and laying the points as well, which takes us to Washington. And this is also dumb. I know we talk about scheduling quirks, but the other Monday night game is Buffalo at Atlanta. So you've got Atlanta and Chicago both coming off their byes, playing on Monday Night Football. Why? Why do you give it that the Monday night game should always be reserved for a team who played the week before? Like, that just makes sense from a fairness standpoint. Mm-hmm. Like, this is dumb to give them literally the most rest possible. But I digress. Washington, they're laying 4.5 points at home to Chicago.
I really don't like putting any faith in Caleb Williams, but I'm going to take the Bears to cover, but in a loss. The Bears are going to lose. The Commanders will win this game, but I think the Bears are going to come out fired up after that loss that they had in the Hail Mary to the Commanders last year, and they're going to be like, we got to get this back after losing that way we did last year. So I think the Bears, who've also will be coming off the rest from the bye, will look motivated, and they will play well enough to make it a kind of field goal competitive game. But I think the Commanders will ultimately win. This
feels like a DJ Moore game. Was it 2 years ago when he had like 200 yards at FedEx when Ron Rivera was still coaching them? That was a wild day. This team has weird ties with one another. Obviously, Ron Rivera was a former Bear, but the reason this is Monday Night Football is because you talked about the Hail Mary game, but it's the former number 1 and 2 overall picks in the draft, and I think this is a Chicago fan meltdown game. Like, oh crap, we took Caleb Williams. Look how awesome Jane Daniels is. I'm gonna take Washington and lay the points. I think they win pretty convincingly. I don't think it's close at all. And I think Chicago, like, this will be a hate watch for Cowboys fans, and then they'll be like, how did we make this team look so good? It will be frustrating.
All right. That's NFC East week 5.
Are you ready for songs?
Yeah.
I've been very excited for like a week to do this. So you're familiar with Drumeo, the YouTube series channel, where they have people play the drums to a song they've never heard before. It's really cool. The Chad Smith one's the most famous. I discovered there's a similar production from Musora, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Musora. That's the YouTube channel where they take this is more of a like an artist who can do an entire song, and they will have them recreate an entire song, and they have to do the whole thing, like all the production, and they give them 24 hours. So it's kind of cool. So the episode I saw that kind of got me roped in was with Josh Ramsey, the lead singer of Marianas Trench. And so he did Defying Gravity, and he did his own twist on it, and obviously everybody loves the Wicked and everything, and it was really, really, really good. But because of that, Marianas Trench began trending out of nowhere, which was really exciting for me, because somebody who loved Marianas Trench. So I'm going to go with Haven't Had Enough by Marianas Trench from the album Ever After, which is incredible top to finish. And music, we talk a lot about, has the power to kind of like transform your mind or reignite memories. I always think of my friend Allison. She was the one who introduced me to Marianas Trench. So shout out to Allison. Hope all is well with you and the fam.
I've been meaning to just listen to the NFC East Mixtape playlist, but I have not gotten around to doing that, like the whole thing, just because sometimes I'm looking for some new music to put on, and I should really do that. So, yeah. Anyway.
Were you a Marianas Trench person?
I have not heard them.
Oh, dude, I can't recommend. I really think you'll like them. They've got kind of a pop punk vibe. I mean, they're kind of pop punk in a lot of ways.
I don't doubt it. Yeah. Canadian pop band, as they are listed, but it also says pop rock, pop punk, symphonic rock, and emo.
They're very talented. By the way, you didn't. Oh, holy crap! Just with some breaking NFL news,
wow,
the Bengals are trading for Joe Flacco.
Okay. Great.
Not often you
Former
get
Eagle, Joe Flacco.
Not often you get an in-division quarterback trade in October.
That'll really change things that'll really,
See, like
good for the Browns.
What are you doing? Yeah, good for the Browns, but like, what are you doing, Bengals? Like, trade for Jameis. You know what I mean? Like, this is not what
or don't do anything, honestly.
Yeah, like just lose out. I mean, fire Zach Taylor, but like
sign a quarterback off of someone's practice squad. Like,
totally,
try to find a young guy.
Completely agree.
Contract.
Like, yeah, and I like Joe Flacco. He's fun. Whatever. Is he elite? All this stuff, but like this is
wasting time.
Also, how often is it that a quarterback wins a Super Bowl within a division and then plays for multiple other teams in the division throughout the course of his career?
Yeah, that is true. I didn't think about that. Not impossible. I guess maybe he takes over for Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh next year, complete the division tour. But yeah, I mean, like they could also sign someone, maybe like, I don't know who would qualify for this off the top of my head, but someone like, Josh Dobbs had that run a couple years ago. Like, sign someone maybe like that and see if they can kind of get hot a little bit or do something prior to the trade deadline. And then you can trade him. Then you could get an asset. But
how many times has he even been traded at this point? Like, also he has a lot of weird quirks. Like, I just brought up the divisional thing, but he was traded from the Eagles to the Jets.
Yep.
Right. And now from Cleveland to Cincy.
That's it.
I mean, no. Well,
yeah,
still, that's crazy. How many times then has a quarterback won a Super Bowl and then been traded multiple times afterwards?
Super Bowl MVP, mind you.
Yeah. That's true. Like, I mean, that's my point. Like, he has a very, very, very unique, lore in NFL.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm gonna go with "It's Been a While" by Stained, because it has been a while since the Eagles lost a game, and it's a good song. So,
what is the Stain song I'm thinking of? That's the
Now That You're Here, We're So Far Away.
So Far Away. That's the big one.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow. What I was saying before the Joe Flacco news changed life is that I sent Brandon, speaking of TikTok, a TikTok of the lead singer from Cartel being interviewed about Say Anything Else being on the Madden soundtrack. And he didn't even respond. He just liked the message. That was not cool.
I think you sent me that when I was doing something. I didn't actually watch that. I have to go back and watch that.
He talked a lot about how it was wild. Like Taking Back Sunday was on that soundtrack, and he's like, we were doing all these promo tours
Spin by Taking Back Sunday.
He was just saying it was kind of random that we found it. He said, but we hear from people all the time that say they heard us on that soundtrack.
So, 100%.
That's the only reason I discovered Cartel.
Pure Volume. Do you remember that site?
No.
Shout out to anyone who remembers Pure Volume. If you remember Pure Volume, leave a comment in the YouTube's comment section of this video. So I remember listening to them on there. They were one of the artists who had a profile on there.
The trade, by the way, is this is from Adam Schefter: Joe Flacco and a 6th to the Bengals for a 5th-round pick.
Yeah.
The Browns have now officially traded Amari Cooper or sent a 5th pick in exchange for Amari Cooper, and then gotten a 5th in exchange for Joe Flacco.
Very good job by the Browns.
Yeah, on the subject of trade for Joe Milton. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna do this, if the whole point is to salvage something, like get some. Like, I love Joe Flacco, but this is lame. So, okay,
that's it.
All
right, the show's over. Bye.
Eagles Girl 52. I like this. Says, thanks for the weird pod today. It was a weird.
Yeah,
day.
It was a weird episode.
Yeah. BLG sounds sick, so I hope he's feeling better.
I'm not sick. It's just my voice is hoarse from all the screaming I was doing. Not screaming, I guess yelling.
What was, as we leave, what was the best thing you ate at the Phillies games? Either one.
This season, I don't think I had anything at the.
I meant this weekend.
I don't think I had anything at the games themselves, food wise. But this season, I'm gonna go with they have this really good cutlet sandwich that they were doing this season. Chicken cutlet with like pepperoni and some pesto. It was called like Kyle's Cutlet after Kyle Schwarber, who's 0 for 21.
I saw they were getting killed for the bunt last night, Monday night, and it reminded me that at the end of the World Series, at the end of the World Series against Houston, he tried to bunt as well. Kyle did. So
I don't remember that, but that bunt was like it also just being there in the stadium. It was like confusing. It was like, what are they doing? Like everyone, like it just made no sense in the context of the moment too, in terms of like you're getting some hits here, everyone's fired up. Why would you just then like bring it down by giving away an out anyway?
Okay, as we leave, let's do who wins a game first, the Phillies or the Giants? And first could mean like rippling if the Phillies lose, game 3, like rippling into next year.
I'll take the Phillies because there's a chance they also play on Wednesday, so there's a chance they win then. Even if the Giants did win on Thursday somehow, the Phillies could beat them by doing it.
That's
tomorrow.
What I'm saying. So like that, this is ultimately what it comes down to.
And the Phillies game, if there is one on Thursday, if they force a game 4, that'd also be on Thursday. That would end sooner than the Giants Eagles game would. So I'm gonna go. There's potentially 2 chances for. Even if the Giants win on Thursday, even if let's say I have a crystal ball, I can tell you that's going to happen. There's still be 2 chances for the Phillies maybe to win and before them. So I will take the Phillies.
That's like the Philly Houston Thursday night game in 22 when the World Series was going on as well. I think it was the World Series, but there was that was happening at the same. I remember that vividly.
Yeah, because they were playing the Houston Texans and the Houston Astros at the same time.
How'd that series go against the Astros?
Also, not impossible that the Giants could lose out, right?
That was why I asked the question.
I will take the Phillies for sure.
So if the Phillies were to lose on Wednesday, which would end their season, and I could give you a do-over, would you take the Giants to win and a game?
Because they'll probably. Teams just win. Like a bad team can win a game.
That would be so funny if not if the Phillies lost for your sake, but if the Phillies lost on Wednesday and they still. Relative to this moment, won a game before the Giants
because they play the Cowboys in Week 18 too, and for all the Cowboys.
The Cowboys have the 1 seed locked up. You're right. That's true.
I don't know if the 1 seed would be like the 5 seed or something, or they missed. Who knows? They could just not play their starters in that game. You never know. So,
Brandon, as we leave, how about you tell us your favorite thing to cook in a pan?
Oh, cook in a pan. I'm gonna say breakfast sandwich.
Good call.